Good morning, everyone. It might sound a little different and it might be a little bit of a different framing. That's because I bought a new little device that hooks onto my iPhone. So I'm going to try recording with the iPhone and see if that's better. We may do some microphone shopping because with this recording app that I've got on the phone, I can use an external mic of some sort. So I may go out and about in the world. I need a new cord for my microphone set up downstairs that hooks into the computer when I'm streaming. So when I do that, I may try to just find a simple, nice lavalier microphone. The one that I bought was good for the first GoPro that I bought. It was like a Akaso or something like that. It wasn't a GoPro. It was a small camera. And it had a 3.5 millimeter. Is that what that is, Jack? I've forgotten my nomenclature for the size of jack outputs. So it had one of those, but of course this is an iPhone 13, so it's got the lightning port. So, but with this program that I'm using to record right now, it actually takes an external microphone. So, and it's a little jittery because I'm moving around. I don't think there's any way to stabilize it any more than it already is. The thing about this is, though, not only I think it'll be a little bit clearer picture, but it won't overheat, technically, I guess. So we're going to give this a try. We're going to see what happens and go from there. So what I got here today is I've got the Kickin' Horse coffee that Jessica and Adam got me for Christmas that tasted really nice. Smells very good. Pretty beans, delicious smell, very good stuff. I was going to do this in what we've been doing lately, which is 7 grams of coffee, 200 grams of water. Whoop. So one thing I'm going to have to learn how to live with if I decide to keep going with this is perspective, because the perspective has shifted and now I've got to look over the phone. Because to be honest, the phone is like right here in my face, and my eyesight is not great. And then you put something like this with my glasses right next to me, and it's like I can't focus. I can't focus. So 18.4 grams. That's pretty good. We're going to add that here. We're going to turn it on. Doing the Chemex, so let's do it a little bit coarser. Oh, no weird clicky noise. It's all right. We'll do a little bit coarser today. We'll do about 25 and grind it up. I know the stabilization is still on because I put it on 60 frames per second and then turned it off and turned it back on, and it stayed 60 frames. So this is about as stable as it's going to get. I'm going to try to limit my movements a little bit because I know it's kind of shaky. But we will get through it. We will make it. What's nice about this is it smells good. And then there's not a lot of chaff, not a lot of static electricity, which is actually pretty cool. All right, I got my milk here. We're going to froth that. I'm sure that's going to make everybody vomit when I go to froth that and shake everything up. That's probably footage you will not see. Got my bitters. Very excited about that. We're going to add about 4 or 5, maybe 6 drops of that to our ending result coffee. While I'm thinking about it, I probably ought to get a spoon, huh? Yeah, we'll use that when we put it in the cup. Okay. Spoon down. Oh yeah, I guess the time change is coming up this weekend, huh? Yeah, spring forward. Fall back, spring forward. We lose an hour. Wasn't there like a bill that was going through to like get rid of it? I don't. Do they just feel that it's too awkward to get rid of now since it's so deeply ingrained? But then again, we have to be reminded, don't we? We have to be reminded by something, either a device or a public service or a radio station or a TV station, usually the night before. Oh yeah, move your clocks forward. You have to be reminded of that. So maybe at the end of the day, if they got rid of it, it'd be like, aren't we supposed to? No, probably not. And then that would be like 2 years of that, and then it would be over with. So that can't be the reason. It must be because somebody else thought of it, and folks are like, well, you know what, you want that, so I don't want that now. And that's kind of the way politics has gone these days. We're getting there. Anyway, so yeah, bump your clocks forward on Sunday or Saturday night before you go to bed, and suffer the consequences Monday morning by losing that hour of sleep, I guess. It's weird. That kind of stuff is weird to me. I don't know. I don't, it's never really, the only thing that bothers me about it is not getting up. It's not getting up and going to work. It's the animals. The animals don't understand what we've just done. You know, they don't get it. They're not like, they don't have watches. They don't have, imagine a kitty. Well, no, we don't have to imagine. We have Mr. Rogers to thank for that. What was the tiger's name? I'll flash it on the screen, but you guys remember what was the tiger's name, because he had a watch and he was very proud of that watch. And it's been so long since I've watched it, it is completely gone from my memory, but I remember the tiger. I could look it up, but I'm recording on my phone. Yeah, I don't remember the name of the tiger. It was something very soft and sweet. I remember that. But yeah, so we can picture cats with watches because we have Mr. Rogers. But yeah, so it's just the animals. The animals don't get, hey, I've lost an hour. You need to shut up. Or I've gained an hour of sleep. You need to not wake me up early. Springing forward, that'll put the cat's food time a little bit later in the day. Unless you change their routine because because you have to get up and go to work. You know, that kind of a thing. If to get up and go to work, then you change their routine, so that becomes their new routine. And they get fed a little earlier, according to them. So, you know, that's great. But then you fall backwards, and there again, you know, if you go to work, you change your routine. So their routine's already disrupted, but would that make it so that they would get hungry earlier and start bugging you earlier, I guess? I don't know. It just depends on how you want to change your routine, I guess. They've always kind of been problematic, but they do learn new structures and new routines fairly quickly, even though it does pain them. Nothing pains a cat more than having a mealtime moved. And they will let you know. It's like I completely cut out a source of protein for the cats. I had these wet foods that I was doing for them in the evening. We decided that was not helping their digestive, at least Indy's digestive problems. We completely cut out the wet food. Lady had no problem with it. She's a tank. She can eat just about anything and be fine. Sometimes she has messy bathrooms, but it's very few and far between. He, on the other hand, very messy, and even though we took the protein out, it's still rather messy. So I know this is what you wanted to hear during a coffee talk, but the reality of owning pets is that it's not all rubs and hugs and loves. It's also they poop. And they leave messes when they eat their food, you know, and that kind of a thing. So I've got 28 grams of coffee in here. Let's see. That's would be 400 grams or 400 milliliters of water. Precious water. I'm going to give it a nice little bloom phase, get it all wetted up. Some people, I've watched people do bloom phases, and I think it's because they use a smaller vessel. They need less water to initiate a bloom phase in a smaller vessel because there's less coffee to get wet. But because I've got like 28 grams of coffee in here, it takes about between 75 and 80 grams of water to get everything wet and to get those gases to start to release. Some days I even think I need about 90 grams of water to get all of that started because the gases just don't start bubbling, like right now. I mean, if you take a look right now, there's not a lot of gas escaping, not a lot of bubbles. So, and that's kind of what you want. You want the gases to start escaping. You want bubbles to start forming. You want all of the coffee to be wet, and right there, that's 113 grams, which is a little much. So let's start our timer. Let's get her up to about 400. Keeping the bed disturbed all the way around. Don't walk with rhythm, and you won't attract the worm. Don't pour with rhythm, and your bed will not stay firm. You know what? I don't know. I guess another problem is that this thing is interrupting I can't really see the amount of water I've put in. There we go. $3.99. That's pretty good. And I did zero it. So, yeah, this is just another thing to get used to. To be honest, I think I would rather it be on top of my head and then worry about the consequences of it overheating and shutting down. And I have to throw it in the freezer for about 5 minutes. This isn't bad. It's just, see, the flow was so fast. That was a fast flow. That's not good. Not necessarily, and this is probably not good either, but I'm doing it anyway. That was a pretty fast flow. I mean, it was only about a minute. It'll probably be about a minute and a half drawdown, which is, I don't think that's enough for a good cup of coffee. So we should probably stick with it being medium fine instead of going medium coarse. Medium coarse, I guess, is best sorted for maybe even a Clever, or because of the drawdown would be a lot faster, but since it sits in the coffee, it absorbs more of the flavor. This is just, it's touching the coffee and then zipping right down through. So it's basically dragging the coffee flavor with it. Whereas, a Clever, it kind of sits there and percolates, and then it absorbs rather than just pulls. So, but it's still pulling when it goes through, but that's after like 4 or 5 minutes of sitting. So it was about a 2-minute drawdown, which is not great by some standards, but it's okay. It's not bad. It's my cup of coffee. I'll live with it. All right. So here we go. Entertain us. Here we are now. It's good coffee. It's just it's fine. I don't want to be disparaging because I really love the fact that they got me coffee for Christmas. It's something her mother did. Did for a very long time during Christmas. I once said Starbucks was pretty good, and I think that was about 15 years ago. And then every year I got like a $20 Starbucks gift card. And then there was the point where I stopped going to Starbucks because their coffee tasted terrible for some reason. It went bad. In my mouth, it went bad. And no amount of sugar was making up for the fact that tasted terrible. So I stopped going, but she kept giving them to me. So I didn't say, I don't want these, because the joy in her face when I would open up the gift card and say thank you was a big part of it. So, I still went. I certainly didn't go as often as I did, but I was more buying the fruity, the sugar-filled teas that they had in the summertime than going for coffee. Other than the occasional peppermint mocha, because for some reason peppermint mochas, there's enough peppermint and chocolate in there to kill any burnt, horrible taste that coffee permeates. So I've got a nice, lovely cup of coffee here. So that's why I'm just so thrilled that they gave me coffee for Christmas, because it made me feel like, the way Aunt Barb gave me coffee for Christmas for the longest time. And that was very sweet, and it made me very happy and very sad at the same time, which, I think that's the mark of a good gift, memories and the fun that it's going to bring you in the future. I think that's a really good gift. So let's pour this out. Let's pour one out for the. She went to Starbucks. She didn't go to Starbucks very often, but she went to Starbucks. And all right. So this I may cut some of this out because I know that this is going to be very jumpy, because I'm going to froth this milk. Actually, that's not so bad. Look at that. That's not so bad at all. I'm going to give it a good 20, 10, until my hand gets tired, basically. We're introducing air. We're increasing its volume. And we're making it a little bit sweeter. Strangely enough, the chemical reaction that happens when you add air to milk seems to be that it gets a little bit sweeter, which is actually kind of fun. Let's take a taste of this before. It's a very sweet coffee. It's very interesting. I mean, look at those notes. Those notes are a joke, both figuratively and literally, from the company, because those are not tasting notes. Those are just adjectives, right? Adjectives? Did I say that right? Yeah, I think so. Descriptive words. They're descriptive words. They're not flavors. But I will say that this coffee does have a nice inherent sweetness. It's actually very tasty. I joke about it, but it is actually very tasty. So this is what I'm going to do. All right. I need to figure out a way of a methodology here. So I'm going to pour our foam in here, and I am not a latte artist, but I will fill it up as best I can here. And then I'm going to take our bitters here. Let's give it a shake. Matt had said that he went to taste these bitters after they sat for about a week, and it was the worst thing he'd ever tasted. And then he's like, oh, maybe I should shake it up. Then he shook it up, and then it went right back to the flavorful deliciousness that is these bitters. So he was very happy about that. He was afraid that they might have gone bad, but they are just pure alcohol. And you can kind of see here, see? And this is, of course, from our friend Daniel in Colombia. I will link to his Instagram and to the J. Bitters Lopez Instagram also down below. It's just such a fun endeavor, and I wish them nothing but joy and luck. These just seem like really small drops, don't they? We'll just use the whole pipette. We'll use the whole dropper. It's a whole dropper worth of bitters. I'm sure he would be horrified. Watching him do his bartending skills, I love how he shakes the shaker. Him shaking the shaker is just absolutely fun and fantastic to watch. He is definitely a showman and such a wonderfully bright personality. His partner, Jose, he comes off as a very laid-back individual, an outward appearance of not a care in the world, but he is very driven and very focused and wants to make this business grow and prosper. They're both working their jobs in the hope that they get to a certain point where they don't have to work their jobs anymore. And isn't that just the goal of everyone? And I hope they get there one day. And we are there to see it. So here's a beautiful color for it says a medium roast, right? Yes, an organic whole bean coffee. That's a medium roast. And we've added some frothed milk. It was cold, so this is a cold pitcher. I frothed the cold pitcher. It cooled this down a little bit. I added that many in an eyedropper of the bitters. Let's see. It adds, it's got a nutmeg, cinnamon, other coffee-like flavor that there's enough alcohol in each sip to where as it burns off on your tongue, it's not as harsh. It's not like an effervescent thing. You can't feel the bubbles. You just know that it's burning off on your tongue. And since it's a small amount in a large amount of coffee, it's not unpleasant at all. As if you were to drop this on your tongue just the way it is, it would be unpleasant to start with, and then you'd get all of the wonderful flavors that are within the bitters that are distilled down. In this, though, I kind of wish this thing was lower. It'd be nice if it were lower and kind of pointed like here. As it stands, I really have to go around it to drink my coffee. Delicious. I will link to Daniel's Instagram below, and then I will link to the J. Bitters Lopez Instagram as well, so that you can take a look at all of their stuff that they're hoping to have here very soon. I think that he said that they've already are distributing to several bars down in Medellin. And what's really interesting is that there's actually competitors to this down there that are maybe already established. So that's fascinating. You really don't hear much about bitters. Then again, you don't really hear much about things like this until you're suddenly sat down in the middle of it. So, I mean, that's just kind of the way the world works. You don't know something exists until you know something exists. That's just forward progression. That's just time passing. Thank you so much for watching this morning. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you next Tuesday. And I'll link all this below. Enjoy some coffee. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you later. Bye.